Well, let's just start with the story. It's a gorgeous day at the ballpark, and it's the bottom of the last inning, 2 outs, and Michael has been waiting for this moment his entire life. The smell of freshly cut grass, the whiff of popcorn, and the mouth-watering aroma of ballpark burgers, it permeates the air. The atmosphere is perfect for baseball, and Michael has a chance to be the hero. All the afternoons spent practicing with his dad might just come down to this. So he steps into the batter's box. He digs his feet into the clay, adjusts the grip on his bat, and shifts his gaze to the opposing pitcher. He swings. The bat catches the end of the baseball, and it's a slow roller to the second baseman. He has a chance to beat it out. And as the runner from third heads for home, Michael knows that if he can make it to first safely, his team will tie the game. The play at first is close. It's a bang-bang play, and Michael is called out. And the game is over. Dejected, Michael walks back to the dugout, and on his way, he hears a familiar voice as it penetrates the air. It's his dad. But instead of offering words of encouragement, he launches into a profanity-laced tirade at the first base umpire. It's embarrassing, and Michael is appalled. He looks up into the stands to see his father, his hero, behaving like a child. It's funny because Michael is supposed to be the child. He's only 7. Public profanity, often seen as the rebellious child of language. It wanders the streets of our dialogue and sometimes slipping off tongues without a leash. And we've all seen it. A parent at a game who loses their mind to the point of loudly showering obscenities and completely embarrassing themselves in front of their family and their community. These types of outbursts are happening more frequently, and it paints a stark picture in the way that we use language and the abuse it endures when it relates to what we find appropriate. The debate about profanity and its acceptance into certain societal circles has been raging for decades. However, in public spaces, the echo of profane words can be unsettling, making us feel uneasy. Yet it doesn't seem to stop us, and our behavior reflects a society that has lowered the standard of acceptable behavior. In my mind, psychology and philosophy dominate, and I always want to learn the why and explore the how. Why does this continue to happen? Why do we continue to belittle ourselves with our limited self-control regarding language, and how does that affect our children? That's the big one. To answer these questions, first, we must examine our society and its unraveling values, complete lack of morals, and the emphasis now placed on individual expression instead of self-control out of respect for others. Back when I grew up, profanity, was nothing new. Locker room talk was common. As teenagers, we lobbed swear words back and forth like beach balls at a summer concert, each one more colorful than the next. But fast forward to now, and things are different. The why is different. Before, it was a sense of rebellion, a chance to act adult-like, but we knew our boundaries. We understood what was acceptable in public and what wasn't. Today, that line is blurred. And as we investigate the why, we can see that the culture has changed. And we are now exposed more to more callous language than ever before. As mainstream media continues to push the envelope and social media continues to provide a platform and pop culture and music continue to embrace the assault on our words, we have forgotten the meaning of respect and restraint. It's no secret that we've loosened our grip on our language. Between vulgar song lyrics, unfiltered internet at our fingertips, and social media, we've embraced a culture that prides itself on freedom of expression, but without consequence. We've become so exposed to the crass side of language that we're desensitized to its meaning. And what once was considered forbidden is now the accepted norm, and we expose it to our children. And then we wonder why first graders are dropping F-bombs in class and have little respect for their teachers and their classmates. Look, I understand that there are roles that profanity plays in our world, and that sometimes a properly placed expletive drives home a meaning that softer language couldn't. You ever stub your toe? Enough said. And the efficacious use of certain curse words, well, it can be powerful, but they're meant to be used sparingly. Kind of like a spice. A little bit here and there can add flavor, but if you use too much, it kind of overwhelms the point you're trying to get across, and it limits your ability to communicate. But that strategic use of profanity is not what I'm talking about. The problem is that we too often take our profanity out of our private conversations and thrust it into the faces of anyone who happens to be standing within earshot, somehow believing that showing a complete lack of couth is earning them some sort of street cred. Interestingly enough, adding to this problem of what's acceptable are the confusing and changing rules we have regarding our words. They don't mean what they used to. We are constantly redefining our language to the point that nothing sticks. While we welcome tasteless language into our norm, certain groups, somehow, they get to pick and choose what's offensive and what isn't. An explicit rap song is totally fine, but we're banning certain Christmas songs because they are offensive. We've changed our mascots, our pronouns, and we've created a world where we don't know what's acceptable to say anymore, and that includes profanity. It's all tied together. So no wonder some people cross the line so often. It's because they don't know where the line is. It's been said that profanity is the common crutch of the conversational cripple, and that those who pepper their speech with expletives lack the vocabulary to formulate intelligent thought. But it's the public display of profanity that's the problem. It's kids in the schools or adults in the stands that really give us a snapshot of where we're headed. I think it boils down to lack of respect. We don't respect our language enough to understand time and place and how our kids are the ones that are going to suffer. And that brings us to the how. And how does that affect our kids? Well, when adults act like idiots, what kind of example are they setting? Children are great imitators, so give them something great to imitate. Remember, we create our children's normal. And if we don't step it up as adults, the new normal will be about a louder, ruder, and meaner individual with no regard for boundaries, and any kind of attention is the ultimate reward. And in a world where everyone is jockeying for position and shock value matters, we've let it creep into our language and the way that we talk to each other. So it's no wonder that parents swear at referees. We spew profanity at police officers, and teachers get verbally attacked by both students and parents. The bottom line is that we have become so concerned with the individual that the community suffers. Speaking your mind should not be at the expense of others. In closing, as Michael slowly walks back to the dugout, his dad, he didn't realize that there's a time and a place for everything. And profanity, it can be a double-edged sword, not only slicing our language, but also the emotional intelligence of our kids. Words are free. It's how you use them that may cost you. So be careful with them, because once they are said, they can only be forgiven, not forgotten. Public outbursts of profanity or exposing your language to children, not cool. Or you might look like a rebel in the eyes of your friends, you might appear tough in the eyes of others, and you might be funny in the eyes of fools. But ask yourself, what are you in the eyes of your child? The tongue may have no bones, but it's strong enough to break a heart. And those are Scott's thoughts.